Have you ever wondered why some people seem to navigate life with an almost supernatural understanding of what's happening around them? Why certain individuals appear to possess an inner knowing that guides them through challenges with grace and wisdom that others find mysterious? Today, we're diving deep into the extraordinary perceptual abilities that spiritually awakened souls possess. Insights that renowned psychiatrist and past life regression pioneer Brian Weiss has spent decades studying and documenting. The truth is, spiritually awakened people don't just see the world differently. They perceive dimensions of reality that remain completely invisible to those still operating from ordinary consciousness. These aren't fantasy or wishful thinking. These are documented, researched phenomena that reveal the true nature of human potential and our connection to something far greater than what meets the eye. If you're drawn to understanding these hidden layers of existence, make sure to subscribe and hit that notification bell. Drop a comment below saying, "I'm ready to evolve spiritually," if you feel this resonance calling to your soul. Because what you're about to discover might fundamentally shift how you perceive everything around you. Throughout history, mystics, shamans, and spiritual teachers have spoken about higher states of consciousness that allow individuals to perceive beyond the veil of ordinary reality. Dr. Brian Weiss, initially a traditional psychiatrist, stumbled upon these phenomena quite by accident during his conventional therapy sessions. What he discovered through thousands of past life regression sessions wasn't just fascinating, it was revolutionary. Weiss found that when people accessed deeper states of consciousness, they began reporting experiences that defied conventional understanding. They described seeing energy fields around people, sensing the emotional and spiritual states of others, and receiving guidance from what appeared to be higher dimensional beings or deceased loved ones. Initially skeptical, Weiss meticulously documented these experiences and discovered consistent patterns that couldn't be explained away as imagination or psychological projection. The foundation of spiritual sight, according to Weiss's research, lies in what he calls soul consciousness, a state of awareness that transcends the limitations of the physical brain and taps into universal intelligence. This isn't some mystical mumbo-jumbo. Weiss approaches this scientifically, noting that consciousness appears to be non-local, meaning it exists beyond the confines of our physical bodies and can access information that our regular senses cannot detect. From this expanded state of awareness, spiritually awakened individuals begin to perceive what Weiss terms the interconnected web of existence. They see the energetic threads that connect all living beings, understanding that separation is largely an illusion created by our limited sensory perception. This recognition fundamentally changes how they interact with the world and explains why awakened souls often seem to know things they shouldn't logically know. One of the primary challenges that spiritually awakened people face is the stark contrast between their expanded perception and the mainstream world's acceptance of only material reality. Brian Weiss encountered this himself when he first began publishing his findings. The medical community, rooted in materialistic science, was initially resistant to acknowledging phenomena that couldn't be measured by conventional instruments. This creates a unique form of isolation for awakened individuals. They may see auras around people, indicating their emotional and spiritual states, but mentioning this to most people results in skeptical looks or concerns about mental stability. They might receive intuitive downloads about future events or sense the presence of spiritual guides, but sharing these experiences often leads to misunderstanding or dismissal. The controversy surrounding these abilities stems from our culture's heavy emphasis on empirical, measurable evidence. Yet, as Weiss points out, consciousness itself cannot be measured by physical instruments, despite being the very foundation of all experience. This creates a paradox where the most fundamental aspect of human existence, our awareness itself, remains largely unexplored by mainstream science. If you've ever felt like you see or sense things that others don't, share your experience in the comments below. Your story might be exactly what someone else needs to hear to feel less alone in their journey. The development of spiritual sight doesn't happen overnight. Weiss describes it as a gradual awakening process that often unfolds through several distinct phases. Initially, individuals might experience what he calls spiritual emergency, moments of crisis or profound questioning that crack open their previous worldview and create space for expanded awareness to emerge. During this phase, people often report increased sensitivity to energy, vivid dreams that feel more real than ordinary reality, and synchronicities that seem too meaningful to be coincidental. These aren't random occurrences, but indicate that consciousness is beginning to operate from a broader spectrum of awareness. As the awakening process deepens, individuals develop what Weiss calls multidimensional perception. They begin to see beyond the physical appearance of things and people, perceiving the energetic and soul-level information that underlies surface reality. A person might look at someone and instantly understand their emotional state, their spiritual development, or even glimpses of their soul's journey across multiple lifetimes. This enhanced perception also extends to understanding the deeper purpose behind life events. While others might see random occurrences or meaningless suffering, awakened individuals begin to perceive the soul-level lessons and growth opportunities embedded within every experience. They understand what Weiss calls the curriculum of the soul, the idea that our lives are carefully orchestrated learning experiences designed to facilitate spiritual evolution. The transformation process can be challenging because it requires releasing attachments to how we think reality should work and remaining open to possibilities that stretch beyond conventional understanding. Yet those who navigate this transformation successfully report a profound sense of coming home to their true nature and purpose. Perhaps the most significant way spiritually awakened people perceive reality differently relates to personal relationships and emotional connections. Through his extensive research, Brian Weiss discovered that awakened souls can perceive what he calls soul connections, the energetic bonds that link individuals across time, space, and multiple lifetimes. When an awakened person meets someone, they're not just seeing the personality and physical appearance. They're perceiving the soul essence, the karmic history, and the spiritual lessons that relationship is meant to facilitate. This explains why some people feel instantly familiar even when meeting for the first time, or why certain relationships seem to carry an intensity that goes far beyond the circumstances that brought the people together. Awakened individuals also develop enhanced empathic abilities, but these go beyond simply feeling others' emotions. They begin to perceive the underlying causes of emotional patterns, understanding how past life experiences, soul contracts, and karmic debts influence present-day relationships and behaviors. This insight allows them to respond to others with greater compassion and wisdom, seeing beyond surface-level reactions to the deeper spiritual dynamics at play. In family relationships, this enhanced perception can be particularly profound. An awakened parent might perceive their child as the ancient, wise soul they actually are, rather than just seeing them as a dependent youngster. They understand that children often come into families as teachers rather than students, carrying spiritual gifts and wisdom that can heal generational patterns and facilitate family-wide awakening. This shift in perception fundamentally changes how awakened individuals navigate conflict and challenges in relationships. Instead of getting caught up in personality-level dramas, they're able to see the soul-level purposes being served and respond from a place of higher wisdom and understanding. Comment below and share a moment when you felt a soul-level connection with someone, that instant recognition that transcended ordinary explanation. Your experience might illuminate this phenomenon for others who have felt but couldn't explain similar connections. One of the most documented aspects of spiritual awakening that Weiss has researched extensively involves the ability to perceive signs, guidance, and communication from non-physical dimensions. This isn't about believing in supernatural phenomena, but rather recognizing that consciousness operates on multiple levels simultaneously. Awakened individuals often report receiving guidance through what appear to be coincidences, repeated number sequences, or symbolic messages that appear in their environment. Weiss explains this as the soul's natural ability to receive communication from higher guidance systems, whether these are interpreted as spiritual guides, deceased loved ones, or aspects of universal consciousness. The evidence for these phenomena comes not just from individual reports, but from the consistent patterns Weiss observed across thousands of cases. People from different backgrounds, cultures, and belief systems report remarkably similar experiences when accessing expanded states of consciousness. They describe encounters with beings of light who provide guidance and wisdom, receive information about their life purpose and spiritual development, and gain insights that prove accurate and beneficial in their daily lives. These experiences are often accompanied by physical evidence that cannot be easily dismissed. Clients report receiving specific information during sessions that they had no way of knowing, details about deceased relatives that prove accurate when verified with family members, or guidance about future events that subsequently unfold exactly as described. Weiss also documents cases where individuals receive healing information during these expanded states. Insights about health conditions, relationship dynamics, or life decisions that prove remarkably accurate and beneficial. This suggests that consciousness has access to information beyond what our ordinary awareness can perceive, supporting the idea that we're constantly surrounded by guidance and support from higher dimensions of existence. The statistical improbability of these consistent patterns across thousands of cases provides compelling evidence that something genuine and significant is occurring. These aren't isolated incidents, but part of a larger phenomenon that reveals the true nature of human consciousness and our connection to higher intelligence. For those who have experienced similar phenomena, the challenge often lies not in the reality of the experiences, but in learning to trust and act upon the guidance received. Weiss emphasizes that spiritual development involves cultivating discernment learning to distinguish between genuine spiritual guidance and psychological projection or wishful thinking. If this message is resonating with your soul, show your appreciation by leaving a like so that more people can discover these profound insights. Your engagement helps spread awareness about these important spiritual realities. So what does this mean for practical daily living? How do spiritually awakened people apply these expanded perceptual abilities to create more meaningful, purposeful, and fulfilling lives? Brian Weiss's research reveals several key principles that awakened souls integrate into their everyday existence. First, awakened individuals understand what Weiss calls the illusion of problems. From expanded consciousness, they perceive that what appear to be obstacles, challenges, or negative experiences are actually perfectly orchestrated opportunities for soul growth and development. This doesn't mean they become passive or indifferent to difficulties, but rather that they approach challenges with curiosity and trust, seeking to understand the deeper lessons and growth opportunities embedded within each situation. This perspective fundamentally changes how they respond to life's ups and downs. Instead of being victims of circumstance, they become active participants in their spiritual evolution, recognizing that their souls have chosen specific experiences to facilitate learning and development. This understanding brings a sense of empowerment and purpose even during difficult times. Awakened souls also develop what Weiss describes as intuitive decision-making. Rather than relying solely on logical analysis or external advice, they've learned to access their inner guidance system and trust the wisdom that emerges from expanded consciousness. This might involve meditation, contemplation, or simply creating quiet space to listen for the subtle promptings of their higher self. This intuitive approach to life often leads to decisions that don't make logical sense to others, but prove to be perfectly aligned with the individual's highest good and spiritual purpose. They might leave secure jobs to pursue creative endeavors, end relationships that appear successful but lack soul connection, or make choices that seem risky but feel deeply right at an intuitive level. Perhaps most importantly, awakened individuals understand their role as what Weiss calls lightworkers, souls who have incarnated specifically to help facilitate the collective awakening of humanity. They recognize that their expanded perception comes with responsibility to share wisdom, offer healing, and serve as examples of what's possible when humans operate from higher consciousness. This understanding brings deep meaning and purpose to their lives. They're not just living for personal fulfillment, but serving a larger mission of helping humanity evolve to its next level of spiritual development. This service might take many forms, from formal healing or teaching work to simply embodying higher consciousness in their daily interactions and inspiring others through their example. The integration of spiritual sight into practical living requires ongoing development of what Weiss calls spiritual maturity, the wisdom to use expanded perception responsibly and compassionately, always in service of the highest good for all concerned. Write in the comments, "Today I release old patterns and embrace the light of spiritual renewal," if you're ready to integrate these higher perspectives into your own life journey. As we reach the conclusion of this exploration into the extraordinary perceptual abilities of spiritually awakened souls, it's important to recognize that these capabilities aren't reserved for a special few. According to Brian Weiss's extensive research, every human being possesses the potential for expanded consciousness and spiritual sight. The difference lies not in innate ability, but in willingness to open to possibilities beyond conventional understanding. The journey of spiritual awakening is ultimately about remembering who we truly are, eternal souls having temporary human experiences, connected to infinite wisdom and unconditional love. As this remembering unfolds, the veils between dimensions naturally thin, and we begin perceiving the magnificent multidimensional reality that has always surrounded us. For those just beginning this journey, Weiss emphasizes patience and self-compassion. Spiritual sight develops gradually, and forcing or rushing the process often creates more obstacles than progress. The key is maintaining openness, practicing discernment, and trusting that consciousness will expand at exactly the right pace for each individual's highest good. Perhaps most importantly, the development of spiritual perception serves not just personal growth, but the collective evolution of humanity. As more individuals awaken to their true nature and begin operating from expanded consciousness, we collectively create the possibility for a more compassionate, wise, and spiritually mature world. The insights shared today represent just the beginning of what's possible when we're willing to explore beyond the boundaries of ordinary perception. Each person who embarks on this journey of awakening contributes to the growing awareness that's transforming our planet and creating new possibilities for human experience. What aspects of spiritual